Destiny, you were planning, at least in some form, to gear up for a lawsuit against Keffals, right? You sent her a cease and desist.
Initially, when I sent her that cease and desist, my goal was a retraction. She didn't post the retraction publicly, but she hasn't said anything. So basically, the next step is I have to decide if I want to like basically reinvigorate her whole internet career to attempt to go to court against her. I think that right now her trajectory is kind of like to fade into irrelevance because she's very boring. She doesn't do any good content, and if she's not like actively fighting with larger figures, nobody cares about her. So right now, I'm just kind of like sitting in the like maybe I could just let her fade away. I don't know if it would be smart to do the full litigation route. Why do you deny banning me? It's like 4 years ago. I know this.
I never banned you. Look through the logs. There was no record of the ban.
Okay. Well, someone's tampering with them in the back end, I guess.
What's up, Destiny?
Hi, what's up? How we doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Doing great.
Okay. This is the conversation. Null, meet your idol, Stephen Bonnell II, Destiny.
Well, we already know each other. He used to toss Zerg back in the day.
Yeah, those 2v2s were wild, man.
Right.
So we've never actually spoken. I know of him through my site and just through the ether, and he knows of me through my site. So we have like probably a vague understanding of each other, and that's about it.
Cool.
The real question is, why do you deny banning me? It's like 4 years ago. I know this.
I never banned you.
I know I got suspended from Kiwi Farms for like a year. It happened when I started posting my thread. You still deny it to this day, huh?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I could look. I looked through the logs. There was no record of the ban.
Okay. Well, someone's tampering with them in the back end, I guess. What are we? What are we doing here today? What the is this? Turkey Tom.
All right.
I want to reach out to your audience of tens of millions of gamers and explain to them that everything's going to, specifically the internet, is going to.
Okay.
Why is it going to shit, Josh? What's your perspective on that? Why is it over? Why is it over? Why are we not back?
Okay, so the Destiny's people are familiar with Drop Kiwi Farms because Keffals made the genius decision to try and implicate him in all of my sins through one post where he said that we played StarCraft together. And the irony of this post is that it was designed to troll me, and it succeeded. Because he said something like, we were best friends and I would curate his thread to make him look as favorable as possible. And people actually believed this and they gave me shit for it and say, Destiny says that you're best friends and you're going to make his thread look super nice for him. Is that true? And the real irony was that many years later, like 6 years later, this comes around in the form of Keffals using this post as conclusive evidence that Destiny is complicit in the forum, active on the forum, best friends with me, probably finances it in some way. And Destiny was in some way forced or given reason to defend the forum, ironically, even though I don't think he particularly cares for it in the form of his gigantic manifesto. Is that all accurate to you?
Was this to me or to Turkey Tom?
I think
to me. I mean, yeah, it sounds accurate. I will say. Oh shit! Oh, I got kicked into the Discord call. Sorry. I will say that I don't defend Kiwi Farms. Okay, I just defend the idea that if you want to take a website off the internet, it should be like breaking law or something. I don't like the idea of like public pressure campaigns to get shit shut down. If somebody's not breaking a law, it should probably be allowed to stand. That's what I would say. But that's the only minor clarification I would give.
Do you know the extent of the damage that Drop Kiwi Farms has done?
To you, Kiwi Farms, or the internet?
The
or
infrastructure, just like the total sum of all things that have dropped in the wake of what I consider to be like an organized harassment campaign, because the shit that they did was crazy.
Yeah, man. Considering how often the site was going up and down and the different providers you had to hop through and everything, I imagine it was quite extensive. Yeah, the damage done.
I lost my Google Voice number. I lost my registered agent for the company in Wyoming, which I still haven't replaced. I lost my mailing address in Florida, which I used to collect mail from banks and stuff and send it to me where I actually live. I lost Cloudflare, which in turn exposed my IP addresses. And then I lost my tier 1 ISP hookups to Zio. I could not host the site through any website or any ISP that used Voxility. And then major tier 1 ISPs like Arleon, Lumen, and by extension CenturyLink and Quest were blocking their own customers for connecting to the site. And this was not because of
wait. Can I just ask on that last one?
Mm-hmm.
ISPs were blocking like customers from accessing the
Yes,
website?
if you were a customer of CenturyLink or Quest, you were blocked. No matter what possible routes existed, they would actually prohibit their own customers from accessing the Kiwi Farms or any website that I hosted on my IPs.
That's interesting. Wow.
That it's insane, and I'll get into net neutrality later because I have a spiel for it,
Mhm.
but it should concern everybody. This was like 4 different what they're called internet backbones. They're ISPs that are massive and they connect to one each other without any fees. And this is essentially the web of trust that makes up the internet. So the fact that these companies dropped at all without a court order should scare people. The fact that CenturyLink, which is also Quest, Lumen, formerly Layer 3, was blocking their own customers from accessing sites should scare people. And even in places with net neutrality like Sweden and Norway, there Arleon was blocking connections for their customers and also transit through their company to the Kiwi Farms.
Just
And this all
as like a due diligence question, just relating to that. When you're saying they blocked them, this wasn't like some random dipshit emailed you and said I'm blocked. Like you had like multiple people testing to
trace
confirm
routes.
that.
Yes,
Okay,
I
gotcha,
gave them
gotcha.
instructions on how to test the connectivity, and you could see where it drops off, and it would always be on these specific ISPs. And then I had people actually within the company, which I can't verify, but
Sure.
I believe them based on what they were saying, that were telling me that there was especially in Arleon, that there was people in the U.S. that were doing this, but the people in Europe were trying to combat it.
Mhm.
I had, and this the thing that really frustrates me about this is that never, not once, not a single one of these companies at any point pointed to specific content and said this violates this part of our AUP. It's always just you're dropped. You wake
Vague
up and
bullshit. It's like a
not
threat
even
as to
no
whatever. Oh,
contact.
sure. Oh, okay, okay.
I received no contact at any point with Cloudflare. Not once at any point did any of them reach out to me and explain what the situation was. Just every single one of these people, with the exception of my registered agent, who quoted some weird thing about an executive order about Russia, which was not applicable at all, but
Okay.
said that they had to drop for that. But for the rest of them, it was silence. Things went on and off. They took us down and brought us back up, a week later without any explanation as to what the fuck was happening. And it was all the whims of, just whatever data engineer happened to be on shift that day,
Mhm.
or who brought it up later. And it was completely, unaccountable, unappealable, completely opaque. No, not even an effort to try and stipulate AUP violations. Cloudflare said that we had a threat to human life that was visible on the site. Never, he did not tell me
Mhm.
personally, and he did not report it to law enforcement because I received no contact from law enforcement about any posts related to an imminent threat to human life that he said would be actionable by the police. So I know it's bullshit.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, this is unprecedented. I've never heard of a U.S. legal website being pulled apart like this, just because of complaint volume, and that's what it is. It's not specific TOS violations or AUP violations. It is people called up the CEO. From what I was told, somebody in particular, I don't want to name names because I don't know if that'll get you in trouble, but someone in particular called up the CEO's wife of GTT, a tier 1 company, and said, let's have a girl talk about the Kiwi
Wait,
Farm.
wait, if you're worried about getting me in trouble for naming names, you can name whatever name you want. That's fine. As long as you're not using slurs or whatever, go for it. I don't care.
Liz Fong Jones was
Mhm.
a friend of Keffals, but they parted ways after Keffals decided that they were done with Drop Kiwi Farms after Cloudflare. Liz Fong Jones has been after the site since about 2017, I want to say,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
and they allegedly called up the CEO's wife of GTT and said, "Let's have a girl talk." And
Mhm.
if you don't know, Liz Fong Jones is trans, and they called up at about 6 a.m. in the U.S. time where this person was located, and it's purely a combination of harassment, complaints, and intimidation. And um, that's kind of segues into what I want to say about net neutrality. I am a proponent of net neutrality, even though
Mhm.
that's not very popular on the right because Trump put in that fucking retard Ajit Pai, who was a Verizon CEO, of course, and he revoked net neutrality.
Mhm.
But net neutrality gives, um, in this instance, if they could not have a legal justification for blackholing the site, these people would be able to reply to the complaint volume and simply say, "My hands are tied. I don't have legal standing to disrupt the internet this way. So I can't. Sorry, no matter what you say or do to me, I'm not
Mhm.
at liberty to do this." And that's a very good thing, I think, for for people to have in their pocket as a card to play when these deplatforming campaigns happen. But for whatever reason, people on the right are convinced that net neutrality is just like a scheme to give
Like
Netflix.
communism for the internet is like fucking
Yeah,
stupid. Which is funny
Net,
because in a way they almost are like begging for net neutrality when it comes to social media companies when they talk about revoking Section 230 and shit. So it's kind of funny, yeah.
yeah. It's and you know. I don't even know what to say. Yeah, it's like they think that it gives Netflix free money or something. It's completely misunderstood, and it's very tragic because it's something that everybody desperately needs. There's no reason why you should want the post office, the electric company, the water company, the disposal companies, the roads, or the internet to or the telephone, as was the case with the Bell Telecommunications Company and breakup, that you should want these essential services to decide who can and cannot do what
Yeah.
with who. You know what I
I
mean?
made this joke like I think a year or two ago, but I said that with the direction that we're going, I think we're going to get to the point to where there are certain undesirable figures where people are putting pressure on like leasing management companies and shit to like not rent you an apartment if you're like too extreme
Yeah.
or something, where people are going to be, yeah, dude, don't rent to that guy. He's a Nazi. Do you want a Nazi living? And then like whole management companies are going to start like doing background checks and shit on people to figure out who's like blocked from renting apartments.
I'm sure if I tried to rent, an office building to do a registered agent at in some state for like they would kick us out immediately, even if I was paying rent, like just for an address to put the company to. It's like we would lose that.
It's also really extreme too, because like when you talk about things like Cloudflare, you talk about things like registered agents, like these are literally things that exist to give to some extent, like some shield of anonymity. Like a lot of people think of Cloudflare as just DDoS protection, which it does, but Cloudflare also like masks your, you said your IP address, your a lot of information that you can get behind what would be the Cloudflare stuff. So the idea that they're dropping somebody for like what you said, complaint volume, because it's not like there's like if there was like a terrorist shooting or something that originated from a site, okay, I could kind of see that. Or if there were like violent campaigns being organized or child porn being hosted or whatever, like this starts to make more sense. But for just like complaint volume, because people just don't like people bullying people from a site, that's really scary. Yeah.
And
Sorry, you can go.
just real quick, I want to reiterate this. I mentioned this with Turkey Tom when we spoke, but Matthew Prince effectively made a statement that the Kiwi Farms was the worst website that he had seen. Something to that effect. It was really extreme. And I know for a fact that right now Cloudflare protects multiple sites related to ISIS that do funding and publications, propaganda related to ISIS, and they host websites dedicated to animal torture. Like if you want to go see an animal get a hole drilled through its head, a living monkey baby, there are websites for that are known to Cloudflare that they choose to protect. So the backtracking to say that it was an imminent threat to human life is ridiculous. It was simply to save face because they had put out a statement. Something happened, by the way, between the end of August where they said they clarified policies and said we're not going to do this because this is really a terrible idea. It increases censorship. It causes totalitarian dictatorships to complain that we should take down human rights organizations, yada, yada. And then 2 days later, on Labor Day weekend at 6 p.m. West Coast time on a Saturday, they decide fuck Kiwi Farms and they drop us and say that there was like some urgent issue that obviously never happened because Keffals is alive and well. And I received no complaints from law enforcement. The Irish police I reached out to didn't know.
Yeah, let's be a little clear because I want all of the the thing that irritates me is that when people talk about a lot of this stuff, we're not like 100% like what's happening with that thing. So the imminent threat referred to was on Kiwi Farms. There were 2 threats that were posted and then taken down within the course of I think 15 minutes. And those are the things that are being referred to by Cloudflare, I believe, when they did the drop. And other things, well, they don't refer to them specifically. They just said imminent threats. The one question I had before we get into those, did you end up removing both of those, or were those taken down or deleted by? Okay, gotcha.
Okay, to clarify, the post that was actually on the site was deleted by the user, and you can explain why you delete a post when you do, and the user chose to provide a message that was along the lines of "bad joke, sorry." So that was deleted by the and the user deleted it because using the as you described it, Reddit karma system, people chose to give it negative ratings. So it received a ton of negative ratings, calling the post idiotic. And he said, "Oh, people don't like this. They don't get the joke. It's not funny to them, whatever." And he deleted it by his own choice. And then it was actioned by a moderator within, I think, 30 minutes thereafter. So
Mhm.
this post was up for 15 minutes and
Yeah.
it was deleted by the user, and it was a joke. The other one was posted to poll. It wasn't even on the Kiwi Farms. It gave a shout out to the Kiwi Farms and I think also Hitler, and it wasn't on my
Of
fucking
course.
website. So it's like
Was that the one kid?
it was the note in front of the apartment. It was like
Yeah,
taken
okay.
outside of Keffals, like a friend's apartment in Northern
Mhm.
Ireland, and it just something like it was a shout out to like a Irish unification group that had a violent
Yeah,
past.
yeah, yeah. I know more than I care to about these people, and have had the
Yeah.
kid is fucking insane. Yeah, the scary part, the implication, because I just want to be clear, because a lot of people will say, or will counter, and they'll say, well, no, there were actual like threats posted on the website, and there was that one, which is true. But the scary part is that, like, should a site that hosts a threat like that for less than 15 minutes, like, what is the action time before you're black holed from the internet? Right? Could I theoretically walk into any forum in any chat room and type in, I want to kill this person, and then go and report you immediately? And now your site is internet black hold. There's got to be like a moderation time or whatever. But like, this is what you said before, where it's like, okay, where's your user agreements? Like, what is the moderation requirement? Like, what kind of threat can stay up? Like, how, like, do you really lose all of your Cloudflare protection if a threat like that is posted within 2 minutes and it's not actioned? Yeah, that's like it's a really ridiculous standard that I guess some people tried to pretend existed for a minute, but I mean, nobody really cared at the end of the day. It was just whatever they could to get the site like taken down, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's not even like the AEP is always for any reason or no reason at all. So they can
Sure.
always just point to the any reason or no reason at all clause for disconnecting service, and that's protected by Section 230, which
Mhm.
I am a strong proponent of. But there's Section 230, I think, paragraph 2C or C2B. And that paragraph is the one that says that you can disconnect something, remove something, delete something from any service as a provider and be immunized from consequences. And that is different from keeping something up, which is the first paragraph. So if I basically what that means is if someone posts something on the Kiwi Farms that causes civil harm, you have to sue the poster, not me.
Mhm.
The contrast of this is that if I delete something that somehow causes civil damages, you can't sue me for it. That person cannot sue me for it. Actually, nobody can sue me for that. I'm immunized from any damages.
Yeah.
So if Facebook, this is what protects YouTube. YouTube can ban and demonetize anyone they want. Twitch can do the same. Facebook can
Mhm.
do the same without for any reason or no reason at all. And because of the second paragraph of Section 230,
Sure.
they are completely and totally immunized from any damages. And this applies to Google results and Facebook ads and whatever.
Mhm.
Nice. I actually had a question for that pertains to both of you, that I wrote down here prior. So Destiny, if I recall correctly, you actually wrote the first guide for streamers on DDoSing after it impacted your own streams and income, and this is probably years ago, right?
Mhm.
Do you guys think there's anything that can be done to kind of create more standardized mitigation against it? Like, first of all, has there ever been any legal repercussion for such an attack as far as DDoSing? And secondly, what would the funds be needed to create some kind of infrastructure so that you don't have to rely on Cloudflare or one of these companies that maybe are at the whim of someone like Keffals?
On the first thing, I saw a couple people in my thread saying that like maybe you can help Null because of your DDoS protection shit. When you're a consumer, DDoS protection for you is keeping your IP address hidden. It's fundamentally different when you're hosting a website because you want people to have your IP address or like your DNS. Like people have to connect to your website.
Mm-hmm.
So any method that like I develop to protect me or other people, a lot of these are dated too because people don't use Skype anymore or these other programs. Like any method that I develop isn't going to be applicable to a website because I don't want people to find me, but you want a website to be found. So yeah.
Right. Okay. Do you know what Josh? You know what the kind of money needed would be to create your own kind of DDoS protection service? Like, is it in
Tens
like
of
the
thousands
hundred?
of dollars a month.
At least, yeah.
Okay.
Because I mean, I'll put it like this. There are multiple layers to the stack, and you can go to protectthestack.org, which is ran by the EFF, and it explains why these service providers should not make political decisions because it harms the health of the internet. But the stack includes layers 1, which is physical, to layer 7, which is the application. Layers 3 and 4 are about the network infrastructure. So what can happen is they can either just send sophisticated packets that cause the application itself to lock up, or they can send so much traffic that it simply floods the pipes, the bandwidth tubes of the internet, and prevents any legitimate traffic from reaching you. So 1 gigabyte per second of dedicated bandwidth is, I think, like $150. And then if you bulk up to a 10 gigabit per second connection, you'll be paying about $750 a month, depending on where you're at. So if you go up to 100 gigabytes per second, that's going to be over, between $5,000 and $10,000, depending on where. A very strong DDoS attack can exceed a terabyte per second. So you're talking tons and tons of money just for the bandwidth. And that's not even including the other layer, which is going to be the packet filtering, because you need sophisticated routers that are able to not only you have to buy special computers that can even receive 100 gigabits per second, but then you're talking about filtering through billions of packets per second as well,
Okay,
and
right.
somehow figuring out what's legitimate traffic. The amount of money that you need to make a company like that requires you to have significant investment capital and a customer base, which, number one, the customer base can be attacked and they can be scared off from doing business with you by people like Liz Fong Jones and Keffals and Drop Kiwi Farms, etc. But they can also go after your payment networks as well. And the financial censorship is something that I desperately want to touch on as well, because I don't think people fully appreciate how much soft censorship is coming from financial control.
How expensive is it now on the other end to DDoS someone?
It is like $100 a month.
$100 a month. Is it illegal to DDoS someone?
It is a federal crime. It's against the Computer Protection and Anti-Fraud Act.
Has there ever been any legal repercussions for DDoSing? I mean, as far as you're concerned,
Not my site.
didn't you tell me that Liz Wong Jones openly has talked about like having a botnet that DDoS your site?
Liz Fong Jones published a Go program. Basically, we have an in-house DDoS mitigator now that's written by Thomas Lynch for FatChan, and we borrowed this and we've run it for protecting Tor. But Liz Fong Jones has published a Go program that is a way around this, because the DDoS mitigator is not intelligent, especially not the one for Tor, because there's limited information.
Right.
It simply uses a proof of work, kind of like cryptography, but very, very quick, so that you can load the page, your browser does work, and then in 5 seconds you're connected to the site. And Liz Fong Jones wrote something to try and get around this. I've never seen it employed though.
Okay, interesting. Well, kind of in that vein, I guess, like you said yourself, you want to talk about financial institutions. I guess, Destiny, this would be a question for you. I'd rather pass it off to you to get your take first. When would you say that payment processors should step in to stop some kind of content or some kind of or to interfere with someone's activity when they're using Chase Bank or TD Bank or something like that?
Ideologically, when it comes to backbone infrastructure, I don't think they should ever step in, absent a court order. And even that is iffy. Like, even when we're talking about payment processing for child porn, for bestiality, for animal torture, for snuff, whatever the fuck you're talking about, all of that enforcement should happen on a level that doesn't require like public pressure to financial institutions. Because I think that we get into these weird areas where if you want to take somebody down or if you want to do something, there's like different standards for enforcement at like every different type of level. Like, let's say I hit a website and I go to the government, I say, take it down. I'm like, well, they're not doing anything illegal. It's like, okay, well, fuck you. I'm going to go to the ISP, take them down. And it's like, well, we looked at it. We don't know anything. So it's like, fuck, okay. What about the people that do their money, PayPal and all this? It's like, okay, yeah, I guess you know. Oh, cool, we got them. I don't like that there's like 17 different attack vectors to try to take down a website if you don't like the material that they host, because it just leaves the whole internet in such a weird, fucky place where, like, in the future, right, the doomsday scenario is you're in this hyper fragmented reality where it's like, okay, I want to be able to go to 4chan, so I can't use Cox Communications or AT&T, but if I have another ISP, like, I've got to start picking and choosing like which credit cards I use, which ISPs I have. Maybe in the future, what hardware I have, like, depending on how crazy it gets, right? I don't think that should ever be a case, right?
And what you're talking about is sort of down the line of net neutrality being repealed, right?
Sure. I mean, it's net neutrality, but like it applies to all of this kind of like backbone infrastructure. Right. Like, my understanding is a lot of the anti-porn stuff on the internet, I think that was fought almost purely on the payment processor side. And I don't necessarily oppose people fighting these things. Like, if you want to take down Kiwi Farms, if you're going to take down porn, if you're going to do that, that's fine. But it shouldn't be through like processing payments. It shouldn't be pressuring like those types of vectors. I just feel like it's super inappropriate.
Yeah, but it's not just even websites. The soft censorship that exists by removing somebody's ability to monetize what they do is it is a cancer. It's like an actual cancer that is sitting on our organs. It's constricting our lungs. It's slowly killing us, and it's just not fast enough for people to notice and take action. Just to lay this out, here's how this financial censorship works. There are 4 companies that basically dominate global finance. They are MasterCard, Visa, Discover, and Amex. MasterCard and Visa card, between them, control about 90% of all financial transactions that happen online, which is the dominant market now. Amex and Discover control another 5% each. So if you are a payment processor like Stripe, you have to stay good with all of these companies. If you lose any of them, you're out of business. People will move to a different payment processor that accepts all the networks. So any rule that any of them pass apply to everybody who uses everything. So if Discover says something, then Stripe implements it for all their customers, not just for the ones that choose to process Discover payments. So um, and these rules are trade secret, and this is the real kicker. They don't outline this is specifically what you can and cannot do, what you can and cannot allow, who you can and cannot allow on your platforms. It is a pure secret that they kind of tip their hat at and say, like, this is what we're looking for with high risk stuff. But it's at their discretion. It's at the discretion of every single one of these companies that you stay online. You have to stay good with Stripe. You have to stay good with MasterCard, Visa Card, Discover, and Amex. Otherwise, you're gone and you don't make money. And this happened to the Kiwi Farms very early on. In fact, I use PayPal to collect donations. PayPal not only banned the site, if I try to book an Uber, I have to use specific cards because they know what cards I had on my PayPal account, and I cannot use them on Uber because they use PayPal to process transactions. And it's like that kind of shit where you like once you're banned, you can't even appeal it. There's no appeals process within.
Yeah, because it's not even a formal ban process. It just happens, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess I'm just done with this. Yeah, there's nothing.
And like you can't appeal it. You don't get to know who made the decision. You're very lucky if you even figured out which part of this machination was responsible for it. There's no appeals process within that company, and then there's no government appeals process, and you can't even sue them to figure out what the fuck is happening because it's a trade secret and they're not obligated by any kind of contract or law to tell you what their thought process is. And this is the heart of our economy now, and it's just this completely opaque black box that sits on the ground, and things go in and things come out and nobody knows how it fucking works. And I think that's the most terrifying thing at all. The number one way that you could open up like true competition in the market is to make it so that anybody legally allowed to do business in the US can do business until they have broken a law. And then if there's suspicion of breaking the law, there has to be timelines for appealing it, disclosing what the concern was, and giving a route on how to get back onto the payment networks. And then as a last resort, there has to be a government solution to fixing the problem as well.
Yeah, because the only problem. Oh, go ahead.
I'm just gonna say that the shit is completely fucking broken. It's literally a small cabal of bankers that decide who gets to make a living right now.
Yeah, the only problem is the reason why I don't think this will ever change is because it only affects content on the very edge. Like I'll look at like my Twitter ban or my Twitch ban and I'll be like, fuck, like this is unfair. Like we need to change the system, blah, blah, blah. But like, if I truly really look at things, like how many people get banned from Twitter? It's probably less than like a 0.1% of the user base. How many people get banned from Twitch? It's probably less than 0.1% of the user base. How many people are getting like payment processor, black hole, or ISP? It's probably, actually, there's probably only a handful of sites on the internet it's ever happened to. I don't know if anybody's actually taken a site offline as hard as Kiwi Farms before that wasn't explicitly by court order, like child porn or something. And when things exist so much at the fringe, it's so easy for everyone else to just look at it and be like, well, you know, this is probably never going to happen to me, so I don't give a fuck. And most of them are probably right. So it's hard to get anybody to care.
And if you really think about it, when someone is like removed from a platform, how many people notice? Like, how many people? You have about 600,000 subscribers. If you got banned from YouTube, like how long would it take, and how long would it take for like your subscribers to even notice? There would be like a hardcore audience of like 20,000 of those people to notice immediately. But even like half of them wouldn't even know. They would just stop seeing suggestions and think, well, I guess he stopped making videos.
Yeah.
A lot of people think like that. So it's very scary, but it does impact a lot of people, and that's why I think it's good to get ahead of it. And for people who know that what they say is edgier, like both you and Turkey Tom do a thing where you and I have like websites for all the content that we put out, and like letting people know that this is a thing. This is like an imminent. It's like a sort of Damocles, just constantly swinging overhead that could happen at any moment. And
yeah, I was gonna ask you earlier, like it's hard for me to balance out complaining about this stuff because everything that you just said, you're like confirming that like these are actually really effective attack vectors. Like you should go after my Uber, you should go after my PayPal, you should call those CEOs because people know it works. You know, it's always hard to complain about shit that people do that's effective because it's like, well, if you guys want to really fuck with me, like here's what's happening, here's what works, so go for it. You know, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that was a thing that I did for a long time because I had one guy in particular who's fucking psycho. He's like full on like swatting members of my family, putting people into porn, like
Mhm.
and like spreading his first. And like it's hard to talk about things and confirming that this is what's happening. This is what annoys me. This is what's causing problems. Uh, but I'm becoming more vocal about it because it's like at this point, there was a point where I was like, I sent a couple emails out to a bunch of different companies that had I had spoken to before. And I said, I'm about to give up. I'm pretty fucking done. I don't know how I can get around this. And then by like literally a saving grace is that someone replied and had some contacts, and I got our current setup, and that's pretty rigid, but it got there. So now I'm just going to spend the time that I have left with any kind of audience screaming at the top of my lungs that the issue is that section 230 protects deplatforming. The banks are allowed to remove people from the financial system whenever possible. Net neutrality is a must, and this should concern everybody. So that's kind of why I wanted to talk.
But how do you get the average person even invested in this? I mean, talking solutions, like one way to get a decent solution out there, or at least have a conversation about it, would be to get the average person just involved. But like you said, the average person just doesn't really care. Like I'm imagining trying to explain to like literally any of my IRL Zoomer friends about this. They'd just be like, well, that sucks, and then they'd carry on their day, because it's hard to get people invested in 1% of the population. Is there any way that you can get people to care about freedom of speech? I feel like even a few years ago, freedom of speech was a bigger deal, online and even, in real life, around the Trump presidency. But since then, people have just stopped caring as much. And it seems to be getting worse and worse, with every passing year. People just don't give a shit.
I think the biggest deal is people don't. This is kind of a hard one, and I just might be cynical here. People don't really care about the principle of anything. People don't really care about the principle of freedom of speech. What they care about is when stuff that they like is getting taken down. So when you look at defending places like when you look at defending the principle of freedom of speech, if your case studies are places like Kiwi Farms, you're kind of like beyond any normal person at that point. Like, guys, like there's websites that are being taken off the internet like for bad reasons. Like, really, what kind of sites? Okay, well, there's a site called Kiwi Farms. Like, what do they do there? Well, it's like a bunch of people that like obsess over lolcows on like what's the lolcow? It's like, okay, well, like if I explain this to you, it's gonna be really weird. It's like, okay, well, I don't know if I even care about this site. It sounds weird, Like that's the issue, is that like all of the things that are being affected around it are kind of things at the fringe, right? Like even for my stuff, like, oh, like I'm a big lefty, SJW, and I got banned from Twitter, and it's not fair. And it's like, really, damn, like what kind of stuff did you tweet? Well, I told a woman to get raped by a shovel once, but like I'm not like a horrible person all the time, And it's like when you exist at the fringes, people don't care about the principle. They care about the stuff that they like disappearing. That's why conservatives, who were traditionally like, big business does whatever they want, fuck the government, blah, blah, blah. That's why they're all clamoring about Section 230 now. They never cared about freedom of speech or any of this shit. It's just that when their content is getting dehosted, now they're in favor of the government stepping in and helping. But until it's something that people like, that the principle of it is irrelevant to most people.
Yeah, and that's why I try to avoid like ascribing to any kind of partisan or label, is because I really don't like a lot of people on the right. They do not give a fuck about freedom of speech. They give a fuck about themselves, and that goes both ways. And it's really hopeless when you see people like Nick Fuentes, who would let you get deplatformed in a second. They only care about their own thing. As far as getting people to care, you can't. It took, Ron Paul went about the Federal Reserve and the debt ceiling and so on and so forth for literally decades, and nobody gave a shit. He gave these huge proclamations about imminent doom, and nobody cared. And now, just kind of recently, there's like this sudden surge in interest in silver and alternative payment methods that aren't backed by the US dollar. So it may be decades before people care. But I feel it's important to just kind of reiterate it as much as possible, because when the time comes that people do start to care, when you can look back and articulate what the issue is and how to fix it, it can get done. You might be the canary in the, like, I imagine there will come a time where I just can't keep the site up anymore, and I just have to move on because of the way things are, and nobody's going to come to my rescue. But hopefully by that point, I've spread the seeds of discontent far enough that there will be a positive outcome later in the future. And kind of two different related themes to this. First, if you've never heard of this speech, I would actually encourage you to go look, especially Destiny people who are interested in like intellectual content. There's a Christopher Hitchens' speech called "In Defense of Hate Speech," which explains very articulately why people need to defend speech they don't necessarily agree with. And he asked the crowd at the theater he's speaking to, "Who among you would you elect as your censor?" Many people would agree that there is a line of what is free or permissible speech and not permissible speech. But who would you actually elect to make those determinations for you? You have a clear idea in your head what you do and do not want to see propagated. But who do you actually trust enough to make those decisions and action them into law? And most people don't have an answer for this. So when you see people like Keffals championing like massive corporations into fucking with people and taking their income, it's like, are you really trying to make Susan Wojcicki your censor? Are you really trying to elect these people into a position of power over you and what you can and cannot say? Are you sure that's a great idea? Because I don't think that it is. And sorry, I forgot my second point. I bisected my idea in half and now I lost it.
No worries. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely kind of a scary time right now for me personally, as someone who, I mean, I'm you know, for viewers at home, I'm only 20. So just as I kind of became aware of the concept of freedom of speech and could even start to believe in it when I was, 13, 14, that's when all that stuff started being ripped away with like the adpocalypse and stuff like that. That's when you saw YouTube clamping down. So my kind of concept of a free internet is like 2016, but I'm sure to you guys, 2016 is like way far down the line of a free internet.
Yeah, oh my God. Yeah, things have changed so much in the past like 25 years of like internet shit.
Well, the thing is, that's what I'm saying. Like people my age, I don't think they even have a grasp on it, and I'm trying to. Even as someone who's younger and is trying to get some concept of it, but for me it's kind of hard to imagine like early 2000s, like when E-Bombs World was around or whatever, or YTMND, when you had a lot of these websites. I guess one question I would have for you guys is, apart from the obvious, which is just okay, they're freedom of speech is good and whatever else, is what do you guys miss about that early era of the internet, early 2000s, when
everything
sites had a more libertarian kind of view of things? Everything? Well, do you want to explain what everything is?
I wish I could turn back time to the good old days.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't think there was a time in the mid 2000s where the people my age had just sort of taken the reins of the internet, and there was a period where like the government didn't know what the fuck the internet was, and anything went. It was just like it was a literal Wild West, and anything went. And that had problems, but it also it was just so free. It was so free. Literally anyone could just boot up a fucking website and become a millionaire. It was so competitive. It was so rich in ideas and genuine diversity. And we'll never have that again. There will never be a time period where, because to put this in perspective, in 2008, this is one of my favorite little allegories or metaphors or whatever the fuck. But in 2008, the top 50% of websites, so the websites that competed for 50% of all web traffic, was like multiple thousands of websites. Thousands of websites competed for half of internet traffic. By 2012, which is when the internet really started to go to shit, this was like a couple hundred websites. So it already shrank massively. Now,
I bet it's like probably less than 10.
It's like 12 websites from 4 different companies are like half of all internet traffic. It's sickening how small the internet is. It's so hard to explain that it used to be like this vibrant metropolis with thousands of small businesses, and now it's like Walmart and then Target and then McDonald's, and that's the internet. It's like, take your pick, you fucking idiot. Like, welcome to the internet.
Yeah, I think that there's like I always complain about this. I wish that we could like get good things without like giving up everything, because I think there's a lot of advantages to the new internet, in that, like, one, the audience size has obviously massively grown. Two, like, as cringe as it is, having a bigger diversity of people online is nice. You get a lot more cultures coming together. You get like just bigger audiences. You get like women. You get all these other people that traditionally weren't as involved in the older internet who are now on. So then in turn, if you are like working in content creation, there's a reason why you can make so much fucking money on ad revenue. Which is something you probably haven't made money on in a long time, Null, I imagine, because you get fucking blacklisted from everything. But for like the people that are like making content on like YouTube or Twitch or other things, like there's so much more money to be made today, which makes a lot of forms of content so much more viable because there's money out there to be made. So these are all like really, really positive things. But there was like a beauty to like the old anarchy of the internet, where like just the craziest like random people making content, like a lot of the early like YouTube shit was just like random fucking kids like making YouTube videos with no idea. Like there wasn't like a formula for thumbnails and content and all that shit. And yeah, the people were crazy. I think another thing that was nice about the older internet, and I don't know if this is true or if I'm just, I might just be like nostalging out and maybe I'm delusional, but it felt like back then, there's this concept, I guess like in maybe in programming or whatever, where it's like we had smart users in front of dumb terminals, and then it became dumb users in front of smart terminals. I think back then there was this idea of like, I'll call it like trolling. A lot of people on the internet used to act stupid in the internet, but it was fucking hilarious because you would like trick people into thinking you actually believed a lot of the dumb shit you said. And that was just hilarious. But that whole concept has changed. And now the internet is so much more serious, to where like, you know, back in 2000, like it was funny to like tell a guy like all the different ways you were going to kill his family, and like all the fucked up shit you could say online, because it was funny shit and it was just fucked up and crazy. But nowadays when people do it, you don't know people are going to actually go out and start fucking killing people. And again, maybe I don't know if I don't remember certain events or whatever, but that just wasn't a thing back then. The idea that somebody would actually leave the internet, go into the real world and do some of the crazy shit we talked about didn't happen. And now that people are doing it, everything's just so much more different.
But that must be just because there's more access now that, you know, if you have so many people, I mean, millions and millions of people using the internet, like one or two of them are going to, you know, they're going to go on Twitter and be like, I'm going to kill you, and then go cut that person's head off, right? But that's just a limited pool of people.
They would just be like, if you've got like a forum, like, because those are people you just laugh at, especially when people get so mad. They're like talking about, I'm gonna go fucking shoot up a school or a bank. It's like, bro, you just make fun of these people. It's just funny. But like, yeah, but now like, fuck, like you're like watching the news, seeing if this dude from like your thread is gonna show up like on fucking CNN as an actual serial killer, you know?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. It sucks.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Null?
Well, yeah, I mean, there are more serious. The main thing is that the internet is such a powerhouse for everything that it was basically destined to be conquered and controlled. The internet is 40 years old. It was supposedly started. It was officially born in January 1st, 1983. So it has just turned 40 years old, and it's really starting to show its age. They realized at some certain point, probably right before the Trump election, like how important it is to have mass media control via the internet, and that's really the impetus now. Like deciding who can see what they're going to put in front of you, what they're not going to show you. Like these are the levers of control now, for the powerful. And it is, yeah. I mean, it's a shame that it's no longer just a toy. It's no longer just like an enrichment to the human life. It's a significant portion of the entire human experience at this point. And that was not the case when I was your age. When I was your age, the internet was a much smaller piece of a bigger picture.
Right.
Like
But
back then, even like 5 years ago, we'd be like, this is a Twitter problem. Like, who cares? But now it's like, this is a Twitter problem. The entire world cares. Congress cares. The president cares. Everybody cares, because these are like, yeah, like nobody was winning or losing elections before like fucking Barack Obama. And even Barack Obama, the first guy to like really start to utilize it and stuff, wasn't even doing it that much. But now like there are whole campaigns and like political movements that are born and die, like that are born from the internet and then like come to the real world. Like all the QAnon stuff, a lot of the BLM stuff, like a lot of this stuff is born and bred online, and that's where it develops. So the stakes are so much higher, and yeah, the real world impact is so much realer.
right.
Fun fact about QAnon: there is a picture of me standing next to Ron Watkins and Frederick in I think either Japan or the Philippines. I think in the Philippines, and somebody in my family, distant family, saw this QAnon documentary, and there's this picture of me, and I got like a random message out of nowhere. It's like, is this you? Are you standing next to this guy that's supposed to be QAnon? I'm like, yeah, that's me.
Damn, dude.
Which is pretty
Nice.
fucking surreal.
You got owned. You got fucking owned. Was it in like a big documentary?
Yeah, it was really big. It was like it was by one of the major media platforms.
Gotcha. Damn. Okay. Well, that's definitely interesting. I mean, so would you say we'll never go back to that era of the internet just because the powers that, you know, that be are too big and they profit too much to allow that kind of like dissemination of you know, individual websites and people owning their own businesses and stuff like that? Like it just wouldn't be convenient for them. They'd make less money, or what is the deal there? Is that about control primarily?
Well, nobody's the thing is that the internet is very comfortable. It's never they're never people are never going to want to go back to the time where we didn't have instantaneous communication and access to all information in the entire world,
Yeah.
and then a lot of bullshit that's just made up. So the thing is that it's going to be around forever, no matter what. I think that I mean, unironically, I think that you're going to see a resurgence of like Ludditism, where you're going to see a growth in Amish communities and Mennonite communities where people are just like, "Fuck this." And I think
Yeah.
that's already happening, but for the most people who choose not to embrace Kaczynskiism, you're going to have to deal with the internet being around, and as long as it is around, it's going to be widely manipulated.
There's no way to go back. I mean, you do see some of these alt tech platforms like Odyssey getting a little bit of traction, or Rumble, stuff like that. I mean, you see individual creators that have had problems with YouTube in the past, like Sam Hyde. He goes to Gumroad and then he gets, tens of thousands a month through his paywall. There does seem to be some, like, it's not totally impossible to kind of do your own thing. Even Kiwi Farms is still, I mean, despite everything, despite, whatever happened with Keffals, I thought the site was going to go down, and it did, but now it's up and everyone can use it right now, and it, loads pretty perfectly. So it doesn't seem like all hope is lost, right? I mean, it's not
one
over.
thing that Joshua brings up something that's a really good point, and I wish more people would realize this is like people will argue for like, oh, like we need privacy and blah 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 blah. Nobody actually cares about that. Nobody cares about privacy. Nobody cares about rights or any of this shit. What people like is the convenience of everything, right? If you wanted privacy, nobody's forcing you to use all of the Google shit, but people did. They buy it. They want the Android. They want all of the synchronized shit. They want their email to buzz their fucking watch, to vibrate their fucking Wi-Fi pillow that fucking jerks them off. Like all of this shit has to be connected. And people love the convenience from that. The convenience of having a cell phone that has all of the world's information at your fingertips, and the conveniences of email and text and all of that. And the idea that people would give all of that up for some world where it's like, oh, well, they can't spy on me or, sell this information to me anymore. We're never, ever going back to that. So when people talk about like the world that they want for tomorrow, you have to find a way to incorporate that idea that people have all these conveniences that they're never going to give up. You have to incorporate that into whatever model you have going forward, because pretending that people are going to walk away from it is just absolute delusion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's like the major issue with any kind of YouTube competitor. Like right now, there's a lot of times where I'm not at the computer, so I want to listen to music or I want to do something, and the easiest way to do that is I open up YouTube, and I try to specifically find a TV that didn't have any kind of smart bullshit attached to it. But I can take out my phone, find a song I want to play, and then press a button to screencast it. And that's a convenience level that's so significant that it's impossible to replace right now with things like Rumble, though they're trying their best. But this actually kind of segues into an interesting thing about like doxing, is that just to kind of preemptively jump this criticism about like allowing docs on the site, is that a lot of people point blame at the forum for allowing this information to be republished, but it almost always comes from two sources: public voting records and things like Spokio, Instant Checkmate, and white pages. And those websites get their information from public voting records and also from marketing data aggregates, which are illegal in the European Union, but not illegal in the United States. And I find it frustrating that people are very vocally against doxing, but they don't realize that this is information that's already public out there, that is a product that is sold. And I feel like more people should be concerned about that and trying to stop the commoditization of like personal data. And
Why? Wait, actually, wait. I have a question. I'm kind of curious. So, how do you decide what information to allow versus what not to allow on Kiwi Farms? Because I think, like, don't you have a ban? You can't post like social security numbers.
No, I don't have a rule against that.
You don't have a rule. Oh, so anybody can post
numbers are okay.
Oh, okay. Well, gotcha. Never mind.
The rules are kind of they're enforced in a very human way. It depends a lot on what I perceive as the intent of the post. If it's just like, hey, look at this, he didn't crop this out or whatever, or this email links to this, it's like, okay, whatever, that's already out there. I found this on whitepages.com. Okay, that's already out there. But if someone joins the site specifically and then dumps like a bunch of nudes and says, fuck this whore, like I'm nuking that shit right away. I'm not even playing that game because obviously this is malicious. And the site's not a weapon. It's not a cudgel. It's a discussion forum. So if someone's trying to use my website to cause harm, like I can usually identify that pretty quickly and I'll delete that.
How do you separate that out in your mind? Because like realistically, if there are a lot of people that if they want to cause harm to somebody, they go to Kiwi Farms because they know all the information is there. If I really want to fuck with somebody, I'm gonna see if they've got a thread because then all their information is there, and I can just like do that. How do you in your mind like how is one okay or not the other, I guess, or how do you navigate that?
It is very human. It's very case by case, but like for most things, the information is like a natural byproduct of someone being overly open online and
Mhm.
not being careful. It's specifically when someone is just trying to obviously cause some kind of damage, and it's especially sensitive when it's pornography because I'm not a fan of revenge pornography. I think that will be before dox is criminalized or anything. I think that revenge pornography will be criminalized. And given warrant to take down from the internet before like docs and stuff is. So it's mostly intent. If I think someone's trying to, someone's trying to do line crossing harassment, trying to intimidate somebody or cause fear, that's more likely to be deleted than like if someone who like I don't want to name names, but someone has like a thread that has several hundred pages over years and then they have like a nude leak. Well, there's literally no point deleting that because that's out there.
One of the first things you said when you got in the call, Destiny, was that you don't want to defend Kiwi Farms, but you basically just want to defend its right to exist. Would that be correct? Would that be fair?
Yeah, well, fuck Kiwi Farms.
Well, what would be your main criticisms of the site in general? I'm curious to hear what you have to say.
Well, I mean, I think that like the idea of like obsessing over other people's lives and then like incessantly digging up and posting personal details, running these huge compendiums, like compiling all the personal information of somebody, like just for other people to sit jerk off over is like incredibly mentally unhealthy. But
I mean, I guess, in my eyes, that's the one thing that I would defend from the site, because in my eyes, it's like there's a whole, I mean, maybe I'm showing my hand a little bit here, but there's a whole industry that I obviously make money off of, which is documenting online people and like their stupid shenanigans. And it's generally a very accepted form of content. I mean, from the beginning of time, I mean, with like Jerry Springer show, stuff like that, you had these weird people coming on, Dr. Phil, Bad Baby or whoever else, you had these strange figures coming on. And now Kiwi Farms just kind of fills that void. But these are, for the most obsessed people, obviously. And I'm not going to defend every user of Kiwi Farms, but I would say that it's probably not the worst thing in the world just to, pick apart these odd figures. I mean, we've been doing documentaries about weird people forever. I guess I see that as like the least bad or not bad at all part of the farms.
I think the problem is that it's very hard to keep everything self-contained. Like even like stuff always jumps off site. Other people will go to the site for details to harass people. And even regardless of what anybody on Kiwi Farms said, I'm sure Null would acknowledge this. There's probably users on Kiwi Farms that engage in harassment themselves, even if the user base discourages it. Just by a numbers game, there's going to be some people that do it. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Obviously, I don't.
I guess my follow-up question to that would be like, doesn't that happen on kind of every website? I mean, even from Twitter. You're familiar with Dream, yeah? The Minecraft dude?
Yeah.
So he got like big doxed on Twitter and got a bunch of harassment as a result of it. But nobody seems to have a problem with Twitter right now.
Well, because on Twitter, I'm pretty sure you can report that stuff and it'll get taken down, right?
I guess, but I mean that post was up for days and days, and I guess the difference.
Was it up for days and days because nobody reported it, or was it up for days and days because Twitter? Because I'm pretty sure if you post personal information on Twitter, it's actionable.
I'm sure at least someone reported it. I guess the thing I'm saying is that people only seem to care about the aesthetics of it when it's written in writing in the rules versus when it actually happens. Like you didn't see anyone causing like a moral stink about Dream getting fucking doxed.
With Dream, it was just like people found a picture of his coach in him, and he was just like this fat ginger, and people posted on Twitter and said this is Dream, and he had posted his face by himself at that point, and that was, I mean, there was no way Twitter couldn't. It was like thousands of people just posting a picture, and there was nothing to be done about it. It was the correct picture. He denied it at first, but I think the real thing was that he was, he had encountered success and he was using that to better himself, and he wanted to post a picture of himself after losing weight.
I guess in my eyes, just harassment occurs everywhere on the internet. Like it's not really something you can like stop. Like to have a problem with the culture of the site a little bit.
You absolutely can have control over like how much harassment is coming from areas. That's something you absolutely can have control over. There are different moderations, like I said, I can use for my community that is going to change the amount of harassment that comes, because my community will harass people depending on what you consider harassment. But like if I have like rules in place saying like you can't directly link to somebody's social media, even though some people will harass, like that one rule in and of itself is going to dramatically turn down the amount of harassment. Or if I have rules saying that like you're never allowed to mention a person's name if they're on a stream, whatever, like I don't have these rules, but if I did, like I have some of these rules. So some of these things will reduce harassment, others won't have effect. You're never going to get rid of all harassment, but that's not the same as saying you can't get rid of any harassment.
The one thing that we do that is like a counter harassment measure is that if you if you decide to like contact like either the person themselves, their family, their work, um, or law enforcement about them, if you do anything like that that crosses the barrier, if you post about it, it will be deleted. You will be warned or banned for it. And since that I consider that's a strong deterrent because it deprives that person of any attention that they would receive for that behavior. And the issue then comes in when there are communities like ours. I'm not going to name names, but anyone listening to this on my side knows what I'm talking about. There's like a community that's sort of like ours, but for a specific demographic of people from like one radio show, and they are fucking insane. They're like 40 plus years old on average. I am pretty sure that they do swatting and stuff, and then they try to blame it on us, and they're extremely difficult to deal with. And it's like I can't even ban them from my site because then they just have an auxiliary site and they make new accounts and stuff, and the stuff gets cross posted anyways, and it's a nightmare to deal with. And I really do not appreciate it right now. The thread's locked. I'm deciding what to do about it.
I guess
Yeah,
my major question for you, Destiny, was like, obviously with your community you have a policy to mitigate harassment because that's your personal prerogative, but with a site like Twitter or Kiwi Farms or any site where you can post user generated content, you're gonna have some level of harassment. Is it anyone's responsibility, do you think, to necessarily stop that? Do you think it's like a moral obligation they have, or do you think that Null's position, which is basically he'll stop some stuff on the site, but for the most part, unless someone's directly posting like, okay, I'm gonna fucking get this guy swatted right now, he's not gonna intervene. Do you see an issue with that policy of like only taking down content that's illegal?
That's a hard one. I don't like harassment, so I don't support it on my sites, and I'll do what I can to stop it. Do I think somebody has a moral obligation to never host harassment? I don't know if I would ever go as far as to say that. I don't know if I feel that way about that.
Okay.
I don't like it on my stuff. It's kind of like gambling. Like I don't really support gambling. I don't really like gambling, so I'm not going to do like gambling sponsors or whatever. But I'm going to say, like, is it immoral to ever support gambling? I don't know if I go as far as to say that. It's just something I don't like on my site. The only thing I reject, the only thing I'll fight back on is that statement you made where it's like, oh, well, people are going to get harassed anyway. There's nothing you can do. Like you can absolutely mitigate it if you want to. But I don't know if I would say that like you have to, that it's immoral to host harassment of people on the internet.
Right. Well, this will be kind of a strange question to ask you, but I'll ask it for content's sake. So if you were in the position of running a website similar to Kiwi Farms, how would you try to counteract things like swatting, harassment? How would you try to mitigate stuff like that that you see as like big problems while still encouraging the culture of documentation and things like that? Would it be a total removal of doxes? Would that be it?
It's gonna get like it would require an artistic level of moderation. But I guess
Right.
like for me, like when it comes to personal information, I would say that like the only information that's allowed to be posted has to be like directly relevant to like whatever they're a lolcow for. So if you want to make fun of like DSP owning like a particular condo or whatever, and like it's funny that he has it like in a really high priced area and blah blah blah, then like maybe that's like relevant, sure. But if it's just like, but there are a lot of posts sometimes they'll go up, and I've seen this happen on threads that got spun off on mine where somebody's just like, oh, I found this guy's full information. I was able to look out the window. I see that he lives here. Here's his house. Here's his blah blah blah. Here's he went to school. Blah, blah. And I was like, none of this is really relevant to the reason why they're all
Right.
kind. None of this is really relevant to why we're like the only like none of this is even that enriching in terms of understanding the person.
So you'd probably say
Only
there's no
reason-
good reason to have someone's
yeah,
personal
the only
info
reason
on
I
the
post is
site.
because now it makes for a really easy like attack vector. Like now I
Right.
can like harass the fuck
And
out of this
that's-
person. So I can go like, yeah.
And that would be my one contention with Kiwi Farms that I've voiced to Null. No, what would you say to that criticism? That like what good reason is there to have someone's SSN there at all?
I mean, it's sort of a testament to people being able to find it. It's hard to say, and the fact is, I don't try to justify it. I do. I if there is no, I don't want to put myself into the position of being able to decide for people what they can and cannot say. I do prohibit people from contacting people to the best of my ability, and that's effectively all I can do. Um,
Right, because
I am
because
I am
it
curious
would
what
require an
your
insane level of moderation, right? Like it would just be so much. Like there's no way you can
yeah.
police every post on the site.
There's no when I write my rules, there is an approach that I take where the rules have to be binary. You take the rule, you hold it up to a post, and you should be able to determine very accurately if that post violates any of those rules. I would not even know how to begin wording a rule about doxing. Like what Destiny said, it has to be specifically related to what they're known for. It's like how do you enforce that equitably? I don't think that there is a way to do that.
Right. So your position would be just don't enforce it. If it's illegal, take it down, and if not, then it's not your
Because
responsibility.
I yeah, and I would be more open to it. But like I said, nobody has ever cited docs as a reason why the site can't stay up. I have literally never once been told by any service provider that that is the reason why they cannot host the Kiwi Farms. It's
Well, docs is probably the reason though, right? Like
no,
it's not the
I don't
reason.
believe so at all. I believe that is
I'm
100% the complaint volume.
Yes, but it's because of the docs. That's the issue, I think. Like
No,
if Kiwi Farms was a site where people just like shit on people and harass people and whatever, then like it would just be another site where people shit on people and harass people, whatever. But I think
no,
the
it
fact
doesn't
that
exist.
the fact that personal information gets posted there is why it draws so much ire from other people. That's why, like, if you talk to like any normies, I say normies, but like internet normal people, and they talk about like being afraid of like a Kiwi Farms thread throwing up, showing up on them, it's always because they're really scared of all of their docs being collected in one place, and then people like using that to direct harassment. I think that's
It's not
always
the
something people are
docs.
scared of.
It is the fuck ups. They like people like Keffals in particular do not want their their findom fart porn to be next to their information about the HRT directory, to be next to the information about their career as a trans Twitch streamer icon for teenagers. That's the issue. It's almost never the docs. The docs is what they point at and say, like, look, they posted my address. This is trying to make me fear for my life. That's what they say. The real reason is never that. The real reason is that they are they do not want that information to be on the internet.
I mean, but all that other
Uh,
information can be archived on like Reddit threads and shit, and you can't
no,
report it and take it. What do you mean no?
it
Yeah, of
does.
course it can be.
It's taken down all the time.
Okay,
It's
I don't think so. No, you can write a bunch of fucked up shit about people on Reddit and stuff they do, and those threads will stab. And there's like fuck all Reddit admins, unless there's like actual like docs of personal information. They'll just tell you to eat dirt, kick rocks. Like I don't think.
I've seen Google Docs get taken down. I've seen Reddit threads get taken down without any of this information. It really depends on what kind of pool this person has, but I really strongly disagree that it would just go on some other website. The reason why the Kiwi Farms is up and the reason why it has the audience size that it does is specifically because you cannot just do what we do anywhere else.
Well, yeah, but that's because of the doxing aspect. That's what you can't do anywhere else, I think.
I disagree. I think that like having a thread specifically about a person that can just say whatever you want to and kind of outline someone's highlights in a negative way. I've discovered in hosting the forum that money is not the strongest form of capital. It's personal reputation, and people take that very seriously. And when someone's personal reputation is on the line, it impacts their ability. Like I think you've even complained about this, like how people like once you get like a stigma, it's really hard to shake that dumb shit that you said that you regret saying like 10 years ago, and it impacts all future contact with you and how people form like an initial opinion of you, and that's really powerful. That's worth a lot of money. So people are very seriously invested in taking down the site, not even because of the docs. I strongly disagree with that. It's because they want to have control over their personal reputation, which is understandable, but at the same time, to give them that is to enable them to censor what other people can say.
I would.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree about go ahead.
I don't know exactly about Kiwi Farms, but I have noticed a strong anti sort of like drama or documentation sentiment with a lot of sites, like YouTube, for example. They've been hitting a lot of commentary channels lately, and they say like if you post someone's personal information, like I had a video taken down under their cyberbullying and harassment guidelines because I posted info that the guy himself had made public about his you know who this is, Josh? This dude with a fart diaper fetish who would message random e-girls pictures of himself in a diaper, and he posted his own personal info. He posted his own birth certificate online. I didn't put any of that in the video. I just mentioned that it existed and that he posted it. I didn't say his full name. I just said his first name, and he managed to get that video taken down for harassment and cyberbullying. And I have a strike on my channel, and I've had it for like a year.
I can't believe you fell for that. I can't believe you fell. We have a thread on this guy. He has sent me pictures of himself and
the point I'm making is not that I'm retarded for making the video. The point I'm making is
he
that
dabbed on you super hard. He fell for it.
The point I'm making is that YouTube in their guidelines actually has changed to not allow that, and not even allow they have a guideline now that says intrinsic attributes. You can't make fun of someone's intrinsic attributes, meaning the way they look. And 4 years ago, Leafy was one of the biggest channels on the platform, and he was, calling people fat, calling them retarded. And I'm not going to necessarily defend all of his actions and say that's a good thing, but that was an acceptable thing on sites just a few years ago. at a time when
Is is he banned from YouTube right now?
he's banned from YouTube. Yeah, he's
He
banned.
got banned. Okay, I got you.
And he's tried making other accounts and they get banned. They're very watchful of him. And even just the other day, another big commentary channel called Benji, who I believe hadn't even posted in a while, YouTube got him for cyberbullying and harassment because a while ago he made fun of Jacob Sartorius and called him like stupid or something. And this is a thing that you see people cracking down a lot. So I will say, and even on subreddits and stuff, like you see a lot more like policing and stuff. Sam and Tolkien was like the boogie documentation subreddit. That sub was taken down. There's a lot of there's a lot of stuff like that just gets taken down now, and slowly
there were a bunch of subreddits dedicated to like Trisha Paytas and stuff that got taken down. I mean, I'm telling you, they crack down hard on stuff that hurts personal reputation, especially people who have pull.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure the docs doesn't help. I'm not going to say that probably it's like that gives people a thing to point at and say, look, they're posting my address and this is to make me scared for my life, even though that's not the case. It definitely doesn't help. It doesn't do any favors for the site. But the main reason is the complaint volume, and the complaint volume stays high because as the site lives on, more and more people hate the fucking site because they're on it and they want to take it down. It's like someone, like when it goes down, when it went down briefly, I remember all these tweets about how like I have a thread and it feels like a burden has been lifted off my back, like I'm free for the first time. It's like that's a bit fucked up. But
and the thing about this that I kind of want to talk about is I feel like there's a sort of disproportionate fear of Kiwi Farms versus the actual material harm it does. Because I mean, the Kiwi Farms thread about Keffals is still up to this day, right? Yet Keffals still has an audience. She still has a fan base. She's still up posting content. Nobody even seems to believe a lot of the grander accusations about HRT directory or Catboy Ranch or stuff like that. And as far as I know, her personal info is also there and nothing's happened. And so in my eyes, it's like, actually, I don't know if I have a Kiwi Farms thread, but I think if I had one, even if it had like, a picture of my face and pictures of my family, that would suck. I would definitely not be cool with that. I wouldn't be supportive of it. But in my opinion, the best way to deal with drama of any kind is to just fucking ignore it for a few days and it will go away. And if you just never acknowledge the existence of that thread, you don't feel that fire. But it seems like
you don't make
nobody
$100,000 doing that.
You don't make $100,000 ignoring it?
Yeah. You make $100,000 making a GoFundMe and
well, okay, I honestly didn't pick up on that reference for a second. But the thing I wanted to talk about and kind of transition into, which we talked about a little bit, and I think you were critical of Destiny, Null, for this decision, was Destiny. You were planning, at least in some form, to gear up for a lawsuit against Keffals, right? You sent her a cease and desist.
Yeah. So basically, what happened was of all the statements she made about me, I took what I considered to be the 4 easiest ones to prove defamation, like. You said this, they're false. One, she even publicly stated, I think she said later on the Null one, she's like, oh, I was just trying to bait him. I don't know if it was true or not, but she publicly tweeted it. But there were 4 statements she made that she knows are false. She's never heard me say them before. I've never called her a rapist. I've never been friends with Null. I've never directed harassment, like any of this shit, used transphobic comments. And I sent her a cease and desist. And after sending that cease and desist, she emailed my lawyer back and she said, oh, I'm going to talk to my lawyer and see what happened. Or I'm sorry, see what I should do. And she was on another streamer's show later, I think like a month later, Dylan Burns, and topics that involved me or were peripheral to me came up quite a bit. And she seemed to not want to venture into that territory. So initially, when I sent her that cease and desist, my goal was a retraction because it would be nice to have that to point mainstream media sites towards, like, hey, you published this about me, but this person retracted their statement. She didn't post the retraction publicly, but she hasn't said anything. So basically the next step is I have to decide if I want to basically reinvigorate her whole internet career to attempt to go to court against her, which presents a couple of unique challenges. Or if I just want to let her, because I think that right now her trajectory is kind of to fade into irrelevance because she's very boring. She doesn't do any good content. And if she's not actively fighting with larger figures, nobody cares about her. So right now I'm just kind of sitting in the maybe I could just let her fade away. I don't know if it would be smart to do the full litigation route.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. And I think Keffals is done with it. I don't know what specifically happened. They were all about that HRT directory and Bob posting and shit. And then at some point, Bob posting allegedly gave up on the HRT directory and vanished. And then Keffals said that I'm done with not sponsoring this anymore. And I'm done with Kiwi Farms. And that's been it. And they've pretty much been silent on it. The problems have persisted. for instance, Google has effectively delisted the site. If you try to Google Kiwi Farms, you will not find it. If you Google Kiwi Farms Keffals, you will not find their thread because that's also been de-indexed. But the site itself is not completely de-indexed, just the index page and a couple threads. So I'm not particularly irate at Keffals anymore. Though I mean, I have more of a legitimate tortuous interference case with Liz Fong Jones. The amount of crazy shit that they've tried to do is just insane. One of them is that Liz Fong Jones tried to get AppNick. And just to sum this up as briefly as possible, you get IP addresses from what's called a regional internet registry. There are 5 RIRs in the world. AppNick is in Australia and it services Asia Pacific. If AppNick were to make the decision to revoke an IP address allocation, which is where I have my IPs from, that would mean that China, the service provider for China, now has a set precedence that they will revoke IP addresses, and that is just devastating that they would do that. So if Liz Fong Jones had really gotten their way, the internet would be properly fucking torn apart. You would start seeing what I predict will be a fracturing of the internet into small, what I call lowercase I internets, which is like Russia will probably, the DPRK in China basically have their own lowercase I internet as it is, but you'll probably start seeing the EU internet, the American internet, the Russian internet, maybe like an Afrinic or Afrinet and South American network. Probably
kind of like
South
what I
American.
joked about earlier, where I was like, you're gonna have to choose, like, if you want to browse certain websites, there's only certain ISPs you can have because everything's gonna be so fragmented based on
Yeah, it would completely, like, you know, and I think a lot of the reason why things have been so peaceful in the last couple decades is that, you know, you had all these people coming online and you're talking to a whole world of people and you're listening to their music and, you know, you're playing games with them and stuff and you're having conversations with them. And we're going to revert back to this extreme, like, territorial, like bordered world of not being able to talk to people anymore, and it's going to be real fucking sad when it happens, and it probably will happen because, especially for things like copyright, if there's ever going to be something that breaks apart the internet into smaller little fiefdoms occupied by, you know, like a government, it's going to be copyright shit because of piracy and how easily it is to propagate, you know, movies and stuff from countries like Ukraine that don't have copyright laws.
And Josh, you said you think what Liz Wong did constitutes tortious interference. Have you considered legal action in any way? Would that be worth it?
It's $75,000 to take something to trial, and I like the amount of money that I've had to spend to actually deal with this is really pushing my $0 budget.
Do you think that if you did it, there would be sort of a risk that you don't win, or do you think you'd absolutely have a good case?
I think I would have a pretty strong case. I would have to have a lawyer.
You can have a strong case, but the problem is there's always a risk you don't win, and that's the issue, right? Yeah. Like that's one of the things I'm worried about for Keffals too. Like I think I'm very clearly in the right. I think my evidence is pretty clear. But like when you're dealing with certain issues with certain people, depending on what pops up in the media, depending on like who's presiding on your case, if it's like a jury trial, depending who's like, if you lose, it's almost worse than not testing it. So you'd rather like go through other means unless you literally truly have the biggest slam dunk in the world, which is very, very hard in complicated cases, you know?
Like there were a ton of people who were convinced that Vic Mignogna would win his torturous interference case in Texas, and that literally did not even pass the shit test. That didn't go through the anti-slap, which is the first bar of entry for any kind of defamation or related case. So I mean, after seeing that, I'm not hopeful for any kind of TI case at all. But it would have been it would be really nice, a huge win if something like that was proven in court. Like if you go after people's infrastructure, you go after their money, you go after their business, their hosting, that is that's a civil tort.
Right, but it just seems that no one's willing to go through with that because I mean, like you guys said, I mean, it would be even if you win, I mean, you know, for years you're going to be fighting in court. It's going to be, you know, spending tens of thousands of dollars, potentially a month for lawyers and legal fees. It just would be a complete pain in the ass. And, you know, let's say even if you do win, it's a huge reward, obviously. I mean, not just for you, but for the greater internet. Like with Ethan Klein, right? He won his lawsuit against the guy Matt Haas, and that was obviously a good precedent for fair use.
That was great. Yeah, his shit ends up in law textbooks now about fair use.
Mm-hmm. But as far as people who are willing to go through with that, or, you know, with Ethan, he had the backing of his audience who gave him like $250,000 to help. It's really hard to get that. I mean, you know, Destiny, your audience is pretty big, but I don't think it's quite as big as Ethan's was even back in the day. you'd probably be going through your own funds. If not, you might get like 30, 40, 50 grand raised, but it would be difficult to justify spending that much time. And even at that, it's like it feels like a weight on your life. It's halting all your other progress. So it would just be difficult. So
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I guess I don't really blame you for dropping that lawsuit as much as I would have loved to see it happen.
Like if I won the lottery today, I would probably carpet bomb people with lawsuits, just, because, just tie them up, just to be as vindictive as possible.
Yeah, fair enough. Cool. Well, is there anything else you guys want to talk about? I mean, that's the end of my questions in particular, but you guys are obviously good friends. You played StarCraft back in the day, so.
I actually, I wrote this down. This is on a piece of paper. I literally took notes. These are my grading scale for my expectations for this conversation. I would give myself an F for getting angry for any reason. I would give myself a D if I made a serious blunder in my conversation. Give myself a C if I managed to escape unmolested. A B for exposing audience new ideas, and A, getting Destiny to fund the Kiwi Farms. Destiny, what would it take
to fund Kiwi Farms? Fuck you. You guys are all set up now. You're good.
What? I mean, I still have shit I need to do. I'm not completely back. Like I said, I got legal services to find and replace.
You should just implement things like one thing, a really common thing that a lot of private torrent sites do is your account gets deleted for inactivity if you don't use it for 30 days, unless you do like a one-time crypto donation or some shit. You should do shit like that. Easy way to raise money.
Now, Destiny, whatever reservations you have about funding the Kiwi Farms, what number would you need for it to be? What could there be a return on investment, Josh? Could he get his money back and then some?
Oh God.
Are you looking for investments, or are you looking for fucking donations?
Both. I mean, like what I'm considering right now is some kind of open. I would like to create open source. For instance, Zenforo has banned us, so we can't renew our license with them anymore, which means the software is just going to be continually getting out of date as time goes on.
Is this your DDoS mitigation stuff?
No, this is just the actual forum software. Zenforo is a premium license, so the forum itself, I cannot update the software. And that means that if I have to keep my eye open for security things and patch them manually. I actually do a lot of manual patching to Zenforo, and it's a pain in the ass. So I would like to write an open source forum software that can compete with Zenforo first and foremost. I would also like to make a either open source or just launch like a small time competitor to Cloudflare that can help riskier sites with the proof of work DDoS protection that I was talking about before. Because the thing with Cloudflare is that they have to do real-time protection against tons of new threats that come out all the time because they're so big. They're like half the internet. But with a smaller company, the interest in attacking it is much smaller, so it won't create so many problems. But I'm thinking about that. Andrew Anglin actually said that he is looking for developers because I think he's also banned and having issues getting Zenforo updated. I'm thinking if he has money, he should give me $5.
Andrew Anglin is Daily Stormer, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think he hates me because I don't like Nick Fuentes or whatever the fuck.
Oh, I see. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, you guys both seem to have some issues with Nick Fuentes. You seem to be critical of him. Maybe for different reasons, I assume.
I thought Andrew Anglin likes Nick Fuentes.
No. You and Destiny, I mean.
I thought you guys hang out in real life.
Yeah, you know what? We were best friends, and then he backstabbed me. He took down one of your favorite content creators, Mr. Girl.
I thought you hated Mr. Girl now.
Yeah, I do, but it was the principle of it. A long time ago, there were people in Cozy that were fucking spam reporting Mr. Girl's channel, take him down. And I was like, Nick, if we're chatting, I can't have other people on your platform spam reporting him. But I didn't also know that I was stepping into this whole bag of shit where Fuentes and his whole community had already been fighting about deplatforming people because they'd fought with Ethan Ralph, and they all spam reported his shit too. So apparently that community is a whole backstory of how they feel about spam reporting everybody and taking people down and shit.
Dude, I am pretty sure, and I don't have evidence. This is simply a feeling that I get, so don't pull out any surveys to cross-correct me on this. I am pretty sure that Nick Fuentes has a group of people who are responsible for all the swattings. Like the Marjorie Taylor Greene shit. Marjorie Taylor Greene had no presence on the forum. Keffals Docs was not on the forum, and they got swatted, and we got blamed for it. And Nick Fuentes' people hate us. So I am pretty convinced that it's Nick Fuentes' people.
Yeah, it might be. I think the attitudes in their community are very much like the world has fucked us, so we're gonna burn the world. And I can't really blame them, I guess, because if Fuentes is getting like kicked out of banks and shit, then yeah, why would you adhere to any principles about like deplatforming?
Do you have
But,
any
yeah.
evidence for that that belief, Josh? Is stuff you want to talk about?
No, I clarified that statement by saying that it's intuition only.
Intuition only. Okay, gotcha. Well, it'd be interesting to see if there's anything comes out about that. That'd be the biggest drama ever. But I guess we probably won't hear that. On the subject of, you brought up Mr. Girl. My question for you, Destiny, maybe this is a played out question, but the two things I hear about Mr. Girl when I hear him brought up are A, people like Vito and whatever will be like, he's the funniest guy ever, he's making the best content in the world, he's based. And the B answer is he's a pedophile. What is the deal with that? Is he a pedophile?
I don't think he is, but I mean, like, he's obviously like very fucking edgy. And for a lot of people, there's no difference between being a pedophile versus making pedophilic jokes. Like, all of it is indicative of some fucked up shit. For my shit, I just like really like interesting people. And a lot of the people that I intersect with tend to be fucking insane, but they're interesting. So
The thing people point to is the Cuties review. Is that satire? Is that his stance on that?
I mean, like, don't rope me into this whole shit. Like, there are worlds where you can have like these analyses of like media and all this blah 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 shit. I'm not gonna be the next cutie, guys. Okay, nice try. Fuck you.
I'm not trying to get you to defend Cuties or anything like that. I'm just curious. Destiny. I'm a Destiny fan. Okay, I'm a Destiny fan.
The broad stroke that he was trying to get across. Get it? Broad message he was trying to get across was that the 9-year-old girls in the Cuties review were hot. And the whole point of the movie was to make them hot, and that's the problem, is that we're sexualizing minors, and that's what the movie's trying to get across, and it does it well. That's like his like steelman version of his argument.
That would be.
But obviously, there are people that would
well.
say if you ever find like 9-year-old girls hot, then you're a pedophile.
It's so fucking creepy. Just the way he's like salivating over it makes my fucking skin crawl. And what I've learned, this is anecdotes. I took the whole libertarian stance on like lolicon, and I had like a rehabilitative. I believe in reformative justice, and I had like a rehabilitative opinion on pedophiles. Like we should be doing things to like help these people, and I can understand that people into lolicon probably can separate it in their head from like real kids, because obviously drawings and real kids are really different. What I've learned over the years dealing with the people that I do and trying to moderate image boards and host image boards is that the people who talk about being pedophiles as a joke end up becoming pedophiles or coming out or being identified as a pedophile. And the people who post lolicon also post child pornography. So my opinion from a very libertine stance on this kind of stuff has really completely 180 to like I think that these people are an active threat to other people, and they should be taken out of society as quickly as possible when identified.
Right. An example of someone who used to joke about it and then started defending it and then ended up being an actual pedophile would be Amazi, right? Who you talked to, Destiny, who's now in jail, I believe.
Well, no, hold on. That's different, okay? Because Amosi, he wasn't like, like lolicon is okay. He was always like, you should be able to fuck a 1-year-old child and it's okay. So he was always out as like a fucking insane dude. It's not like he was ever like mask on. That guy was fucking wild.
I think for a little bit it was mask on though, because at first he like right when he got big, that's when he started saying that shit, but it wasn't right away. Like
oh, maybe not. I just know that when I debated him, he was saying that you should be able to have sex as long as you don't like tear them up. You should be able to have sex with like a fucking 2-month-old child. Right. That was when I debated him. So he was always way the fuck out there in pedophile land.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, that's a lot different than like some guys like, oh, she's got a 1,000-year-old spirit, my lolicon, whatever bullshit. Like, yeah, that guy was. Yeah, he was always.
Nick Bate was the one who said he was joking about being a pedophile, and he got convicted of molesting his sister.
Do you have a take on lolicon, Destiny? Are you pro or anti lolicon? How do you feel about lolicon?
I feel about I just don't care that much. I don't know. I don't. If people want to jerk off to fucking cartoon drawings or whatever, fucking knock yourself out. I don't know. I don't care.
Guys, Destiny, official member of the Digibro gang. Shout out Digibro gang. Shout out Rev Says to Sue. Okay. He's on your side.
Well, I'm more of a furrycon guy myself, so.
Okay.
Furrycon? Oh my god, are you joining Team Adam? You gonna dress up as a horse?
How do you feel about furries, dude? That's not good.
I just don't care. Listen, everybody can go knock themselves out, do their own shit.
Furries are retroactively like decent at this point. Like the internet is so shitty now that it's like whatever. Furries,
yeah,
whatever.
Compared to the grand scheme of things, it's like I'm a furry. It's like okay, there's like way worse shit that you could be involved in. So yeah. What I'm kind of curious. How much? This is a full-time job for you as a Kiwi Farm shit, right?
Yeah, it occupies a lot of my time. I try to get like side projects out and stuff, but I'm pretty busy.
What is like and I don't, because these are all things I've heard, so I don't know if I'm not trying to trigger you, or I don't know if this is like shit that you hate or whatever. So just in random things I've heard, you started with a guy a long time ago called Cogsdev, right? When it was like when you were like the Kiwifarms, or I don't know how the fuck you pronounce it. Like why did you like rebrand? Why become Kiwi Farms?
You just
Where did all
want
that
like
come
the
from?
origin story in general?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I'm kind of curious.
Okay.
Yeah, the actual, because I read so many different things. I never know what the fuck is true or not.
there are a lot of like journos take. I don't know what the fuck it is with the media. Journos do not give a shit about getting things. I thought for most of my life that they actually made like an effort to understand things before they write about them. They do not give a fuck about what they're putting out there. They do not care.
Nothing blackpills you more on some like media, especially writing about alternative stuff that they don't care about, more than when they start writing about you. I like read some shit about me, and it's like, bro, are you serious?
You can you can find the answers with sources on Wikipedia. What the fuck are you doing? How can you possibly be so wrong? But yeah, okay. Origin story. There once was a man named Christian Weston Chandler. He decided in infinite wisdom that it would be a great idea to take Pikachu, the Pokemon, and Sonic the Hedgehog, the Hedgehog, and make them into one, the electric hedgehog Pokemon, Sonichu. He further decided that it would be a great idea to make an online webcomic called Sonichu about his creation. He also decided that this online webcomic would then be a suitable place for him to talk about his adventures in trying to find a boyfriend-free girl. And of course, because this was on the internet in the mid-2000s, it became a topic of discussion on Something Awful, and then later 4chan's V. And then they made an entire wiki dedicated to Christian Weston Chandler called the Quickie, which is CWCKI, pronounced Quickie.
Gotcha.
The discussion about Chris sprawled into the talk pages, and this was mostly like hypotheticals and Q&A type stuff that really didn't belong in the talk pages of a wiki, because you wouldn't have this in like a discussion page on Wikipedia. So Cogsdev, who was the admin of the Quickie, who now hates me because I think Cogs is trans, decided that we needed a containment website for these so-called spurgs, and so the Kiwifarms was born, and it was administered by a man named Champtham, who had Richard Nixon from Futurama as an avatar. This site had problems staying up because people who got banned from the site would complain to hosts and so on. And then after about 2 years, on February 3rd, 2013, they accepted my offer to make me their permanent host. And so I was the admin of the Kiwifarms a little over, just under, about 10 days to 10 years ago. I became the administrator of the site. And then in 2014, I want to say, the topic of discussion kind of branched out past just CWC. I ended up becoming like the lead admin. All the other admins kind of dropped off. And I sort of inherited the forum. And the Kiwifarms was the pronunciation of the site's name, Kiwifarms, because it's spelled awkwardly, by a couple different people who had threads. So we just sort of retroactively adopted that as like a backronym for the site. And we just went from there.
Gotcha. Where did you when did it become like a full-time job for you? Like how long ago?
So when I first started hosting the site, the reason why I picked it up is because I was actually a PHP developer for a payroll company in Australia, and I worked remotely. I was with that company. That was my first real programming job. I had that for about 3.5 years, I want to say. And I got really bored of my job because I was dealing with the Kiwifarms, and I was dealing with all these interesting security threats and novel problems, and I just got more and more interested in what I was doing. And eventually I just told the company, like, because my productivity was dropping off, and they're like, is there like an issue? Do you like still want to work for us? And I was like, no, I kind of want to go out and do my own thing. And from there I went, because I was unemployed at the time, I still had like a lot of savings, so I wasn't like destitute. I actually had met Frederick Brennan from the thread on I think then Kiwifarms, about Wizard Chan, which is the website for incels, that he founded. And I pitched him because he had also founded 8chan in the interim. I said we should probably rewrite 8chan, and because the software that they used for 8chan was shit. And that's when I moved to the Philippines from Australia to work with Frederick as his neighbor, basically, on the replacement to 8chan software.
Damn.
How long has the site been up?
In total, February 3rd will be 10 years under my administration. I don't know how long it's been around in total.
All right. Well, one last thing I want to talk about, as far as things I wrote down that I forgot to talk about was last time we were on stream, Null, you talked about how you believe that the inception of the cancel culture sort of online that exists was Gamergate 10 years ago. And I was kind of curious what your thoughts were on that, Destiny, as someone who's dealt with a lot of that kind of interference with your business.
I thought the Gamergate shit was cringe as fuck. The problem is that like, this is where my SJW shit will come out, I guess, is that like there are legitimately a lot of people on the internet that just fucking hate women, especially in the gamer communities, because like there's not a lot of women here. When you think of women, you just think of people that are policing your language, or people that won't fuck you in real life. And I feel like movements like that ended up getting co-opted by so many fucking horrible, hateful people that like the whole movement just gets like kind of fucked. And yeah, I feel like that kind of happened with Gamergate. Like, I think there were legitimate criticisms, I'm pretty sure, early on relating to Zoe Quinn and all that stuff in the Gamergate shit. But like when the leaders of your movement, the faces are people like Sargon of Akkad and shit, or like all of these like pretty like right-leaning, very like anti-SJW people, like everything just gets so political so quickly that it evolved into some crazy stupid shit very fast.
Right.
But, yeah.
But even among the stupidity, you had genuine like, derangement, I would say, from some people who would go to websites like Polygon or whatever else and try to get their sponsors cut. And that was, I think the point that Null was making was that, I mean, you can explain it yourself as well, but that was sort of the inception of this whole like, okay, contact their sponsors, get their shit taken down.
There are these companies. Okay, just real quick. I mean, this is if you're trying to make your fucking video, this is how you lay it out. There was the Zoe Quinn shit. They complained about it because Zoe Quinn, her terrible fucking indie game was rated best indie game by 5 different publications, that had editors on the staff that were men that she was fucking. People complained about this, and so the media, that at the time, this was 2014, so people really trusted the media, put out all these articles saying that gamers are horrible, misogynist, and racist and assholes, and gamers are dead. This upset a ton of people, and in response, those people started going to Polygon's, Kotaku's advertisers and their advertiser networks, and complaining to try and get them to go bankrupt. And I think with Kotaku, they succeeded. So
Right.
as far as I can remember, this was like the first time that a mob of people would complain to like providers and to beneficiaries and so on and so forth to try and financially destroy someone, basically for just saying something they didn't like.
But typically cancel culture is sort of associated with the left, but that was sort of a more, moderately right-wing, kind of anti-SJW, anti-leftist movement.
But I mean, nowadays it's like, it's both ways. And I mean, I guess it kind of makes, like when Disney put in NAS mandates for their parks, people boycotted that. Then they keep putting out like stuff that's considered woke, so people cancel Disney Plus and yada yada. Like it goes back and forth. It's an issue with the country and basically the West as a whole being split down the middle between conservatism and this far left stuff, where like with Destiny diverges from majority consensus on like woke shit in literally one way. It's like, I think he said transgender athletes have an innate advantage competitively, and that's like, whoa buddy, you're a horrible bigot now. You don't deserve to be able to feed yourself. I hope you go bankrupt. And so and then of course people on the right can't accept him because he's like polyamorous and whatever the fuck. And so it's a very strange like hyper polarity between these two sides that's kind of ruining everything very, very rapidly.
Yeah, I think, like I said earlier, the way you have to view it is nobody really has any principled position. It's just when their shit gets attacked, that's the only thing that people really care about. And if people have the ability to like use a tool, hammer against somebody else, like they'll do it. Whether it's doxing, deplatforming, spam reporting, whatever the fuck else, like nobody actually cares. They'll do whatever they can to take somebody out.
Yeah, and this is I've referenced this twice now. Schmidt and his opinion that there is no such thing as apolitical anymore, or this was like in the 1800s, but everything is political, and choosing to be apolitical is itself political. And that's just how everyone says it. Like everything is fair and love and war, and we're gonna like actively ruin absolutely everything to try and have our way. So that's why it's like free speech is just not something anyone cares about anymore in general, and it's really sad.
Yeah, I agree for sure. Well, cool. Good to see that you guys are best friends now and are going to be playing a lot of video games together.
Yeah. I hope in the future, if I am on fire and rolling around on the floor, you'll at least spit on me.
Of course.
I'll put you out, my dude. I'll do you a solid.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for coming on, Destiny. Take care, buddy.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Have a good one, guys. Good luck.
You too.